All right, buddy. Let's get it started.
Right.
Hello, my name is Fernando Arencibia with Arenci Properties Realty. I have the pleasure today to have Jose Hernandez with Plasencia, Hernandez and Guerrero with us today to speak about health and life insurance during this time of COVID-19. Before we start, I just want to say we're starting this series. I just wanted to have conversations with community leaders that are in different industries so that everybody can kind of get an idea of what is happening in the different aspects of our society and how people are handling this unprecedented event that we have in front of us. So Jose, first of all, thank you so much for being here with me today, for taking the time. Secondly, I would like to would like for you to tell people a little bit about yourself, what your company does and what kind of products you guys provide.
Okay. Well, Bernie, good morning. First of all, I wanted to thank you for putting these videos together. It really helps out, I think, your audience and knowing what's out there and what everyone is doing in different fields. So thank you for putting these together. Like you mentioned, my name's Jose Hernandez. I've been in the life and health industry for 18 years. We basically, what we do for our clients, we tailor to business owners and help them with their life insurance needs as well as their health insurance. Now, on the health insurance, what we mainly do is group insurance. We take care of all their employee benefits. We do their medical, dental, vision, short-term, long-term disabilities. So on the health side, we tend to tailor more to the business side of that.
Okay. And, it's interesting because I see that you're outside and you got the sun coming in. I love it. It's nice to be outside. I wanted to tell you just a quick story before we get started with the questions. Came out here, this morning. And, about 15, 20 minutes before we were supposed to start, all of a sudden, it's beautiful outside, it's nice, it's quiet. And all I hear is, the grass getting cut next door. And I'm thinking like, okay, I didn't account for this. And of course I'm outside because, I got my wife and my two girls inside. My wife is teaching. My two girls are learning. Everybody's got earphones. Everybody's in a different part of the house. So, I've been relegated out here, but, it's interesting because a lot of what we're going to talk about is you adjust to the reality, you pivot, right? And so along those lines, how are health insurance providers responding to COVID-19?
There's been a quick response. Since day one, a lot of the insurance companies, we saw that they really tried to be there for the insured. And there's four things that they've been doing. And when I say they, remember, I'm an independent broker, so I don't work with one company. I'm talking about companies like United Healthcare, Blue Cross, Aetna, Humana. One of the things that we saw, one of the first things that they started doing was not charging any out-of-pocket expenses for anything that has to do with COVID-19. They're not charging. They're insuring 100%. So any co-payments for testing, any deductible for hospitalization, anything that would be an out-of-pocket expense for the insured, they're covering at 100%, which is great. The other thing that they're doing is that there is a special open enrollment. Now, this is United Healthcare that is doing this. Typically, with a group insurance, a new employee has 90 days to basically start coverage with the company after the probationary period. And if that person doesn't participate, then they could come in again at the anniversary, at the group's anniversary. So what insurance companies have said is, listen, if you have any employees that didn't participate, didn't come in when they were supposed to, and they're not insured at this time, here's a special open enrollment where they can come in. And they now extended that until April 13th, which is great. The other thing, and this is a question that I had a lot from my clients, was a lot of people were concerned. Listen, Jose, if I have to reduce hours for some of my employees, if I have to let an employee go, what happens to their health insurance? Can they still be insured? Um, so again, typically health insurance companies say, listen, if you've got an employee working less than 25 hours, they're not eligible for benefits. Or if, of course, you let an employee go, that employee is no longer eligible for benefits. So what insurance companies are saying now is we don't care about that for the time being. If you have an employee that's working 10 hours a week, or you had to let go an employee, if you choose to keep that employee insured, you could do so. As long as the premium gets paid, they can still be on the group. And the last thing that Humana just came out to doing is they are now allowing credit card payments for premiums, which is something that they never do. The only way that they assess payments is either electronic billing or you mail in a check. But the fact that they're allowing for people to pay with a credit card, say no cash flow is an issue for a lot of businesses now. So I guess that's their way of helping as well.
That's incredible. Don't you find it interesting how quickly a lot of these companies have pivoted to to make sure that they address these things? I know you deal with these big companies, but you primarily deal with these small businesses that you that you care for, that you take care of. So I'm sure, like myself, you're having a lot of conversations with business owners. Tell us a little bit about what those conversations are, have been like. How are most of them handling this crisis, and what have you been able to help with? Aside obviously from the information that you're gathering.
Well, from day one, I think we've been playing an important role with our clients, just keeping them informed. Um, this is a time of such uncertainty, and a lot of people don't know what to do. Um, because you do have a lot of businesses that are not, there's no income coming in. So one of the first things that we did, and we've been sending out emails and phone calls almost on a daily basis, just to make sure that they're okay, make sure that we're there for them. Um, I've been looking at a lot of articles and maybe finding ways. I know that they have their hands tied, trying to deal with, hey, how am I going to get money in the door? So a lot of what I've been trying to do is look for ways that, for example, one of the first emails that I sent out was, hey, you're probably thinking of, transitioning into having your employees work from home. Here's a couple of articles that I found that may give you a couple of ideas on how to do that. So it's not only providing information when it comes to the carriers and what their health insurance company is doing at the moment to assist them, but also thinking a little bit outside the box and finding other venues and of helping them out. One of the other things that I was proactive as well, just like a lot of professionals were, was with the CARES Act. As soon as all that information started coming out, we were out there trying to, break it down for them, trying to help them, trying to assist them. I started calling some banks and seeing what the process was, and what banks were accepting applications, which ones weren't, and try to pass that information over to my clients.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's such a that whole thing with the SBA loan, with the Paycheck Protection Program and the disaster loan. But specifically with the Paycheck Protection Program, there's been so many changes already in a matter of 2-3 days that new information continues to come out. Treasury continues to clarify things. So I know that is an ongoing thing. It's not like you just send out the information, but we keep getting new information to share with people. So I know that's important. So I know, Jose, that you also work with, providing life insurance options to your clients. And so I had a conversation with a few people, and they had, I have like 3 rapid fire questions, if you will, about this.
Right.
I wanted to ask you. So number one is, the question that people ask me is, will most life insurance companies cover death from COVID-19 or a pandemic, or are there any exceptions because of the special nature of where we.
We haven't seen We haven't seen anything like that in the life insurance industry. Uh, Typically, life insurance companies will cover anything that has to do with injury or sickness. Uh, so, you have to understand also that mortality tables is really what predicts a lot of, the way that life insurance companies work. So, we haven't seen an issue where uh, we've seen it on the underwriting side for new policies, but nothing for existing policies that would affect that this would affect the way that they pay out.
So I know that there's a lot of mortgage companies and student loan companies, even car loan companies that are, they're basically finding ways to help people that are unable to pay. Is there any such a thing that has occurred with the insurance premiums? Are the insurance company providing any kind of forbearance or any kind of reduction, even if it's temporary, when it comes to those premiums?
For life, we haven't seen that. We haven't seen a response that way for life insurance policies
Right.
from insurance companies. Um, Health, yes, that's what I
Right.
mentioned earlier. After life.
Okay. And so if you right now are in the market to buy life insurance, are premiums higher because of, everything that's going on, or are the guidelines, have the guidelines changed? Have they been more restrictive?
Yeah. Well, on the life insurance side, we have seen two noticeable underwriting guidelines.
Yeah.
One is a new application that you submit now. And hold on, I don't know if you could see me
Sure. I
there.
could see you. Yeah.
Okay. Um,
Yeah, I know you're
one,
trying to move away from the sun, but it's okay, man. We live in the Sunshine State.
Listen, yeah, it was
It's far
cloudy
from the
here.
courts.
It was cloudy 3 minutes ago, and my time for you, right?
Yeah, no doubt.
So here we go. I think this is better.
Yeah.
So the two underwriting things that we've seen from the life side is one, if you have a new application from someone that's been traveling outside of the U.S., they're not touching that case for 14 days after submitting. So that's that's one thing that most companies are doing now. The other thing that we've seen is that insurance companies, a handful of them, are reducing the amount of coverage that you could get. The number that I've seen is 2.5. So if you have someone that is interested in buying a life insurance policy for over 2.5 million, it's probably best to wait till this is all over, because right now they're writing up to 2.5 million. They're not writing anything over that. And again, this is a handful of companies. We've broken with many companies, but those are the only two changes really that I've seen so far.
And Jose, from a practical side, a lot of times when you're going to get life insurance, you have to be evaluated by a doctor, or you have to get blood, drawn so that you could have a blood test and all that stuff. How is that being handled with this whole thing about physical distancing and stay at home? Is that still happening, or?
Surprisingly enough, it is. We still have examiners that are going out. Of course, they're doing, they're wearing the mask, they're wearing the gloves more than before. But I've actually had that conversation with a couple of clients that they've been thinking of doing something, and I'm telling them, listen, this is all new. No one knows, so we don't know if we're going to be able to get an examiner out to you in the near future. So if you've been thinking of getting a life insurance policy, and you're concerned with what's going on and you want to get this done, it's best that you apply. The sooner the better, because we don't know, and that's a topic that I keep talking about with my associates, that we have no idea if in the next couple of weeks it'll get to a point where they're going to say, listen, we can't get a guy out there or girl. One thing that insurance companies already are doing, and I've seen this from a couple of carriers, is that they're saying, listen, we don't necessarily have to draw blood now, but it'll be reflected on your rating. So instead of maybe getting approved for that preferred rate, you may get a standard rate, which is a little bit higher in price, but basically because they're not testing for your life, they're not doing that one. So again, you may want to get it done, or wait till this is all over.
Right. Well, this whole thing that we find ourselves in, I find that most people have a little bit of extra, have a lot of extra time. I mean, I was counting the other day just a little bit of the lack of having to commute to work, and all the hours that when you start adding it up, and the meetings that you're driving to, and the lunches and all that other stuff, which, by the way, I'm dying to get back to. But there is a lot of extra time. So I'm wondering, how are you and your family handling the extra time? Has there been anything that surprised you about how they have adjusted to this? Anything that you want to share with everybody?
Well, I've got a 1-year-old and a 2.5-year-old. So surprisingly enough, we're still sane, and we're still, we're still doing it.
Right.
It can get rough. It can get rough at times.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you saw, we actually put out a short 3-minute video, my wife, the kids, and I, last week, on 3 things that I think are good guidelines to be able to get through this. One is keeping calm. Keeping calm throughout the whole thing. I think if you keep calm, you stay in control. It allows you to think what's important, what's not. The other thing that we're doing is limiting the amount of information, news that we get.
Yeah.
We've been tuning in once a day, getting our facts from a reliable source, tuning it right back off, and turning it off. And to be honest with you, we haven't seen the news in the last 3 or 4 days.
Right.
Because it just seems every time you turn on the news, it's just negative and negative information. And, and whether you think of it or not, I mean, I think it does affect you psychologically.
Right.
It's in the back of your mind. So the last 3 days, we really haven't tuned in. So I think that's helped. And then the last thing is, getting creative, especially if you have small kids. Right now, my wife is inside, and she's, playing with the kids, and, singing songs and dancing, and, she's trying to keep them busy.
Right.
And I think that is key. As long as we keep them active and
right.
And get creative with them, I think we're fine.
No, I completely agree, and I take your point about the consumption of news. I prefer to read my news, because I don't get the whole excitement that you get when you're reading people's body language and the whole sensationalism. Oh, stay tuned, we're going to talk about this, and it's super. I enjoy the fact that when I read it, I don't have to have those other extra things added to it, and I can better understand it. So listen, Jose, thank you so much. This has been wonderful. I think you're going to help a lot of people. You're going to guide a lot of people. I'm going to make sure that your information is out there in case anybody wants to reach out to you. I know you're very good about, giving your cell phone to the employees of these companies that you provide health services for. I know you're always available. So once again, thank you so much for your time, buddy.
Thank you. Thank you, Fernie. Thank you again for your time and for putting this out there. I appreciate that. Thank you.